My name is Paul Manzo. I'm the Assistant Superintendent for Instruction in the East Islip School District. Welcome to our September 11th, 20th year Remembrance ceremony. Please stand for the presentation of the colors of the United States, which will be presented by the Islip Terrace and East Islip Fire Departments. Please remain standing for the National Anthem to be performed by our High School Honors Choir under the direction of Mrs. Affelt. Post. Post the colors. Okay. Colors, post. Please be seated. As the 20th anniversary of the September 11th attacks approaches, we remember those who lost their lives and the sacrifice and service of those who bravely rushed to the sites to assist with rescue and recovery. 20 years ago, on a beautiful sunny day, as Americans were putting their children on school buses and going about their daily responsibilities, our nation was attacked. This attack was intended to break our spirit. However, it actually strengthened the resolve of the American people. An amazing reaction that was the unity, compassion, and strength that flowed through our country. Strangers cried together, held hands, helped one another, stood in lines to donate blood, and rallied together in a bond which was extended through the tears shed by all. A sense of brotherhood and unity swept over our nation in a way many of us have never seen before. Tomorrow, Saturday, September 11th, 2021, will mark the 20th anniversary of this attack, and America vowed to never forget, and we never will. At this time, I would like to recognize our distinguished guests. Islip Town Supervisor, Mrs. Angie Carpenter, Suffolk County Legislator, Mr. Tom Silmy, members of our Board of Education Trustees, Stephen Rulin, Mrs. Joanne Walsh, and Mr. Michael Dorgan. I'd also like to recognize Assistant Superintendents, Mr. Steve Harrison and Dr. Lisa Bells, who have been tremendous in helping us put this event together. We would also like to welcome the families of Michael John Otten and Dennis A. Cross. Michael J. Otten, 42, was a firefighter with the FDNY Ladder 35. Michael was the third generation of Otten to become a firefighter. His family was his pride and joy. His son Christopher has been a firefighter since 2015, and his son Jonathan, 28, due to graduate from the Fire Academy this month. They will be the fourth generation FDNY firefighters, following their father's footsteps. Grandfather Richard and great-grandfather Henry, they were all in the department. Dennis A. Cross, 60, was Battalion Chief for FDNY Battalion 57. He joined the FDNY in 1963 after the 2-year tour of duty in Vietnam. Cross served on a commissioner's committee to draft new firefighting regulations and trained upcoming chiefs in a mentoring program. He followed in the footsteps of his father, who was a New York firefighter, as is Cross's son, Lieutenant Brian Cross. Cross was devoted to his wife, 3 daughters, and grandchildren. He was known as Captain Fearless, and he had the saying that he loved: take care of men, and men will take care of you. At this time, please join me in welcoming Mr. John Dolan, Superintendent of Schools.
Thank you very much, Mr. Manzo. At this time, I'd ask the crowd to please rise. I truly appreciate that. You don't know how nervous I get when I ask that, and I'm afraid you won't get up. But I'd like to ask these gentlemen to please sit down for a minute. Ladies and gentlemen. Oftentimes, first responders are called in the middle of the night, taken away from their families. Our brave military men and women serve all around the globe. And when we honor them, it would be nice if they could just sit for a moment and in special remembrance for the Otten family and the Cross family who are here today, for the men and women who serve us here in East Islip, Islip Terrace, Great River, for the brave men and women who serve as police officers, firefighters, EMS, and in the military, not only here but abroad, to protect us. Let's give them a nice big EI Pride thank you and a lot of love. Come on now, let's hear it. Please be seated. And remember, you will come across first responders in a time of great emergency. But when they have helped you, or if you're simply in the deli, in a restaurant, somewhere out in public, and you see a brave men and women who've served in the service or serving, or our first responders, a simple smile and a thank you gives them the energy to go on. And please don't ever forget that. Every day, and that's going to be part of my message to you today, every day you can make a difference. And every day that you make a difference, 9/11 folks are remembered. When Mr. Manzo asked me to speak, I have to tell you, I got very cranky. For 20 years, you try to make sense of something that doesn't make sense. For 20 years, you say to yourself, why? But as I get older, I realize life is about making choices and choosing pathways. If I stood before you and said life was easy, I'd be lying. but the effort is worth it. The effort to do the right thing, to make the right choice, because it is so much harder to make the right choice than to take the easy way. My grandmother used to say, if you cut corners, you run over the flowers. When you make the right choice, you do make the world a better place. So here we go. Mr. Manzo said I had 5 minutes to try to make sense of something that I've had 20 years to struggle with. I wish I could tell you we have all the answers. But given answers does not teach you. In life, you must make educated choices on the paths you choose to walk. This is why you come to school. Revenge is a pathway of never-ending hate and wasted life. Revenge leads to more revenge in a never-ending ping-pong of pain. Justice is a pathway for those who are strong and committed to making our world a better place. Yes, loss and tragedy are part of life. Loss and tragedy hurt. Hurt brings tears. But tears are nature's rainwater to nourish memories and bring hope for a better future. We shed tears from time to time to nurture, nourish, and refresh our memories. We honor those who we have lost by never forgetting. We honor those we have lost by celebrating their memory on days like today. Patriot Day is a national day of observance that honors the memory of those who were killed in the September 11th attacks. It was first observed in 2002. In 2009, it was renamed Patriot Day and National Day of Service and Remembrance. This day seeks to turn the tragic anniversary of 9/11 into a day of unity and service. And dare I say, why just a day? Why just one day? It should be every day, all year round. Charitable acts are done in tribute to those who were killed and injured, as well as our brave first responders and military personnel who bravely rose in service in response to this attack and to other attacks around the world. To the brave Americans who gave their lives at the Pentagon, the field in Shanksville, Pennsylvania, and in New York City at the World Trade Center, and their families, you live on in our minds and in our hearts forever. We grew stronger through your sacrifice. We draw inspiration and hope from your memories. We thank you for the ultimate sacrifice and promise to never forget. We will never forget you, and we will honor your memory by helping others. EI Pride is based on the belief that through hard work, community-minded spirit, and a positive attitude, we will all be better at sunset than we were at sunrise. Therefore, EI Pride honors the memory of 9/11, never forgetting and never ending our quest for justice and goodness. EI Pride channels the pain of our loss into the energy to build a better future for all. EI Pride honors the memory of 9/11 by reminding all of us that good will conquer evil when good people never forget. When good people simply work harder to honor the memories of those who sacrifice, evil cannot win. Good conquers evil when good people simply work harder than those evil people. So today, on this, the 20th anniversary of 9/11 attacks, let's all promise to honor the memory of all our loved ones and brave soldiers and first responders by rededicating ourselves to reaching out to others, to help others, not just today, but again, every day. It can be things as simple as helping out at home, by doing your chores, by being good sisters, brothers, sons, and daughters, by simply thanking first responders or veterans or active servicemen and women. It can be as simple as helping your neighbors and your friends with their needs. Look around the neighborhood. Maybe there's an elderly widow or widower. Could you bring in her garbage cans? It would make a difference. Most of all, accept the challenge of working hard in school to develop the skills to choose a pathway towards justice. It takes strength and courage, but we know you have the brains, you have the heart, you have the strength, and you have the courage to do it. You alone can make a difference, but together you can't be stopped. EI Pride means we never forget those who paved the way so our future can be brighter. EI Pride Forever is a promise that we will honor our heroes by striving to be like them. EI Pride means you accept the challenge to help others, especially those less fortunate. EI Pride means you will choose a pathway to fill our world with kindness, empathy, and justice for all. EI Pride means you, our next great generation, will never forget. You will honor those who sacrificed for us by following in their footsteps and continuing on your quest to make the world a better place, helping one person at a time, one day at a time. Ladies and gentlemen, as much as it hurts and as much as the memories can be painful, you can draw energy and inspiration by being like your heroes. You have a chance today to sit and look at a group of men and women who are truly local hometown heroes. Grow up to serve as they do, and the world will be a better place. Thank you very much, and God bless East Islip.
Thank you, Mr. Dolan. At this time, I would like to introduce you Mr. Quagliara from the East Islip Fire Department.
Good morning. Today, as well as tomorrow, we stand in memory of our departed brothers and sisters who have responded to their last alarm. Throughout most of history, the lives of firefighters have been closely associated with the ringing of a bell. As they began their tours of duty, it was the bell that started it off. Through the day and night, each alarm was sounded by a bell. The bell called for them to fight fire and place their lives in harm's way for the good of their fellow man. When the fire was out and the alarm had come to an end, it was the bell that signaled to all the completion of that call. Eventually, bells became commonplace on the front of fire apparatus, used as a means of warning the public that a fire apparatus was responding to an emergency call. When a firefighter died in the line of duty, paying the supreme sacrifice, it was the mournful toll of the bell that solemnly announced to all members that a comrade had made the ultimate sacrifice. One of the most meaningful series of bells is commonly called striking the 4 5s. The fire service is rich with ceremony, custom, and tradition. Our custom of rendering final honors has its origins in the fire department of the city of New York, where many years ago, long before the advent of radios and pagers, fire alarms and daily announcements were dispatched from the central headquarters to outlying firehouses by a system of bell commands and telegraph. Each different type of alarm or announcement would have its own number and series of bell strikes. When a firefighter died in the line of duty, or when some important official or personage died, headquarters would transmit 5 bell strikes, repeated in 4 series, with a slight pause between each series, followed by the announcement. This was done as long ago as 1865 in the New York City Fire Department to inform the rank and file of the death of President Abraham Lincoln. The custom has continued down to the present day. Volunteer fire departments in suburban and rural areas use the siren today as the bell was used in the past. It notifies the firemen and citizens of an emergency. It warns the citizens to be alert for volunteers responding to the firehouse and to watch out for fire trucks responding to an incident. It lets the people in need know that help is on the way. When a firefighter dies and the funeral procession drives past the fire station, the siren is sounded for 1 minute, representing the recall to quarters. Their tasks completed, their duties well done. To our comrades, their last alarm, they are going home.
Please rise for a brief moment of silence. Please be seated. At this time, I would like to introduce a local leader and great advocate for East Islip. She's a friend of the community and serves as a role model to many. Please join me in welcoming Mrs. Angie Carpenter, Iceland Town Supervisor.
Good morning and thank you. It truly is an honor to have been invited to participate this morning at such a somber but very, very meaningful ceremony. 20 years ago, when this happened, I can remember, as so many of us can remember, exactly where we were when it happened. I was in a community meeting and it started at 8 o'clock. And when I came out at about 9:15, my office staff was sort of in a frenzy. And did you hear what happened? And it took a while to kind of process everything that was going on. And for me personally, as so many of you can personally relate to knowing someone who was in the city at the time, my daughter-in-law who was pregnant with my first grandchild. And it was hours till we could communicate with her to find out if she was okay. And that story is replicated over and over and over again. So many lives were impacted, and those of us that are here today have an opportunity. Those of you who weren't even born have an opportunity to make sure that those lives that were lost were not lost in vain. I heard a little bit of what Superintendent Dolan was saying, and what resonated with me was good people. We are all born good people, and it's incumbent upon each and every one of us to stay good people. And the simplest thing I think we can do is, if we, and you've heard this before, treat others as you want to be treated. Just be kind and try to make a difference. And we hear it over and over again. We must never forget. We shall never forget. We won't forget, and it's up to you, each and every one of you, to make sure we don't. God bless you all. God bless East Islip and our wonderful town. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Carpenter. At this time, I would like you all to rise for a second moment of silence. Please be seated. At this time, I would like to invite Suffolk County Legislator Mr. Tom Silmy to say a few words.
Thank you, Paul. After 20 years, it never gets easier. The sound of that bell, siren, it's heartbreaking. And it's hard to believe it's been 20 years. Every anniversary is difficult, and it's made even more difficult when the day is a day like today. Beautiful blue sky, sunshine. It's exactly like it was 20 years ago. There was a day of such extraordinary contradictions. The beauty of the sky overshadowed by the horrible, horrible smoke and fire. The just unfathomable evil that happened that day, contrasted by the remarkable good of the folks that ran to those buildings to save lives, despite the risk to their own, despite the fact that they had families that they wanted to come home to. And by the way, if anyone asks you, what is an American? Just look at the men and women in uniform here today. That is an American. The people who ran into those buildings that day, those are Americans. And they ran in not only to save Americans, but to save others from other parts of the world, people they didn't know. Another amazing contrast from that day was the utter despair that we all felt as those events unfolded that morning. Contrasted with the hope of an American flag standing, blowing in a breeze. It's hard to imagine that that was 20 years ago. But we all must know that still today, there are those who wake up in the morning and look at a photograph on their nightstand of someone they loved who is never coming home. There are those today who continue to suffer with illness and disabilities as a result of their response to that event, whether it be on the day of the event or in the days and weeks and months that followed. And we must know that there are those today who continue to leave this great earth as a result of the sacrifices that they made so many years ago. September 11, 2001 is a day that I will certainly never forget. It's hard to believe that most of you in the audience today were not even born that day. My condolences go to the Cross family and certainly my friend Marion Otten and her family, and to all of you here today who lost loved ones, friends, or family. And as has been said a couple of times here today, we can pay great tribute to those we lost that day by being a little bit kinder to one another, by loving one another, by stopping a bully from picking on a kid on the playground, by saying thank you to a first responder. May we never forget. God bless all of you, and God bless the United States of America.
Thank you, Mr. Silmy. Mr. Dolan will now share his closing remarks.
Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, thank you for being a wonderful audience. Thank you for sitting here. Thank you for being so polite and so respectful. I want to say special thanks to my good friends, our supervisor, Mrs. Angie Carpenter, and Mr. Tom Silby, our county legislator. Let's give them a nice round of applause. To our Board of Education members, Mrs. Walsh, Mr. Dorgan, and Mrs. Rulin, who serve so you can have so many good things here at school. Let's give them a special round of applause. To Mr. Manzo, Mr. Harrison, Dr. Bells, and the entire staff, faculty and staff here at East Islip for what they do on a daily basis to give you a chance to find your pathway and help you make good choices. Let's give them all a nice round of applause. In a minute, you're going to be treated to something very special. Dr. O'Rourke and her husband, Mr. O'Rourke, are going to sing Proud to be an American and God Bless America for you. But I can't help it. Get in front of a bunch of students like you, I get excited, I get filled with hope. But I got to give you a test before you leave. I'm going to ask all our distinguished guests who are behind me, everybody behind me, including our chorus, serve others. Chorus brings beautiful music. Our elected officials, are there to create the rules and regulations to protect us. The school folks help you find your choice. As we said before, the brave men and women of the fire department and all first responders and military, they open their arms. Everyone up here opens their arms to make the world a better place. They don't raise a fist. They don't shout in anger, okay? They take their arms, they open them. Again, think about it. When you go home today, keep thinking. When you call 911 and you need help, they never say anything other than, "Where are you? I'll be right there." And that screams volumes for what those people are. And you should consider being a volunteer. But we did say, when you see a veteran wearing a hat, or you see a first responder, you see a police officer, you see one of the volunteer firemen, if you see somebody in their military fatigues, what are you going to say to them? What? All right, let's try this. Everybody get up and repeat after me. And it's windy, so you're going to have to be loud, and we're going to stay here till you get it right. All right? So repeat after me. Thank you for your service. I mean, that was okay, but that's not the EI I know. So loud and proud with some EI pride. Here we go. Thank you. All right, we're going to do this 3 times. You ready? 1. Louder. This one better be the loudest. Ladies and gentlemen, we love you. You did a great job. You are our future. Let's all get up and enjoy Dr. and Mr. O'Rourke. Thank you very much.
Still stands for freedom, and they can't take that away. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the man who died, who gave that right to me. I'd gladly stand up next to you, defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, from sea to shining sea, from Detroit down to Houston and New York to LA. Well, there's pride in every American heart, and it's time we stand and say. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the man